and Klaus Kleber, Washington correspondent for the German Broadcasting Network, ADR. Well, Vladimir, let me ask you first of all, Russia may not be a superpower anymore, but Boris Yeltsin sure came off as a super salesman. What did he really prove? What did he accomplish on his trip to Washington?
Well, Jimmy, personally I think that Russia is still a superpower, and I'll try to explain it. But first of all, I would like to say a few words about the political highlights of Yeltsin visit. I think that it was a Yeltsin week. It was a historic visit, and Bush and Yeltsin have signed the landmark agreements as far as the arms control is concerned. It's difficult to imagine, it's impossible, you know, to think about the deep reductions, the sweeping reductions in the most deadly nuclear arms of the United States and Russia, because it was just impossible to imagine that we can have such achievements. Can you imagine that Russia and the United States will reduce the total nuclear weapons from 22,500 to 6,500, 7,000 by year 2003? I think that it's really a historic achievement.
John Wallach, how significant is this arms agreement, and is that the most significant thing about this visit?
Well, I think it probably is the most significant, Jamie. I would disagree with my Russian colleague. I would say that this arms agreement means that Russia is no longer a superpower, and that's the significance of it. Boris Yeltsin came here to do one thing. He came here to say to the United States, I need money so badly, economic aid and trade and investment so badly, that I am willing to get rid of the one weapon that has worried you ever since the beginning of the Cold War, namely the SS-18s, the heavy ICBMs, multiple warheads, which could deliver such a potent strike against the United States that the United States might not be able to retaliate in time. What we saw here now was the crowning, in effect, of the United States, I think, as the new superpower, if you'll forgive me, Vladimir will forgive me, in return for a commitment by the administration, and I think we're going to see a commitment by Congress to get in there and help with not millions but billions of dollars.
Well, wasn't his performance before the U.S. Congress a bit of a tour de force? He certainly saw a lot of standing ovations.
Yeah, it is because he delivered everything one could possibly expect from him. Of course, we had the statements, communism is dead, we overcome, we come into a new era. But Gorbachev has said the same things basically at many occasions, except for the denouncement of communism in its entirety. But he also brought the material things along. He brought something like 3 dozen treaties American industry and German industry, for that matter, have been asking for investment protection, intellectual property protection, facilitating all kinds of investments. He brought the POW issue shortly up and solved it then with bravery. So he deserved his, I think it was 11 standing ovations.
I thought that was the most interesting aspect of this visit, that Boris Yeltsin lived up to his reputation for drama, for high drama. Nobody really knew what to make of this visit. I mean, Gorbachev had just been here a few months earlier, a few weeks earlier, actually, and everybody thought this was going to be kind of a routine visit. They probably were not going to get a nuclear arms agreement. He was not going to get the money from Congress, the $24 billion. And here's this bold reformer who comes here, addresses a joint session, and probably goes home not empty-handed, but with much of what he wanted to achieve.
Jimmy, I would like to add something. You know, I'm convinced, I'm absolutely convinced, as long as Russia has more than 10,000 nuclear weapons, Russia is and will be a superpower.
Well, let me ask you this, because
very important.
Yeltsin was able to bring this agreement about because he was able to give up on this notion of absolute parity between the United States and Russia. What does that tell us about Yeltsin's relationship with the military back home and the conservative hardliners who didn't want to give up on that?
Well, Jimmy, I think that Yeltsin has quite good relations with the military, and as you know, our new defense minister, Russian defense minister Pavel Grachev, is a good friend of the Russian president, and I talked personally to General Grachev, and his opinion is that Russia will be able to balance, eventually to balance, you know, this new arms cuts.
But realistically, did
Nuclear arms
Yeltsin have
cuts.
any choice other than to really make concessions? I mean, what else did he have to do when he came here?
No other choice, because this was the only means to achieve what the American president didn't achieve, namely change the mood and maybe the majority in Congress on a major and expensive issue. Bush tried this in his State of the Union address, and he failed. Yeltsin tried it, and he succeeded, because he delivered. This is the difference.
Interesting sidelight was that the U.S. Ambassador Robert Strauss apparently gave Yeltsin a tape of Václav Havel's speech before
That's
Congress.
interesting to point out, because here you have, I think, only the fourth foreign leader who's addressed a joint session, certainly the first Russian leader, and he was speaking in the tradition of the two of the three others who've spoken, Václav Havel and Lech Walesa, as a real reformer, and I think that that was very appropriate. You know, I disagree respectfully. I think my colleague here, Vladimir...
I still think that we're a superpower.
Well, you see, what I think is so interesting is that I think he's reflecting the backlash that Yeltsin's going to have when he gets back home, which is, how can you give it away and still politically sell it at home?
And the other question is, you raised this point about whether he'll go home empty-handed or not, and we'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll take a look at how much Western aid will actually get to Russia and how fast. That's just ahead on CNN's International Correspondents.
Tension headaches this bad need a pain reliever this good. New extra strength Darnitol with Ease a Migraine.
Still going. Nothing outlasts the Energizer battery. It keeps going and going.
Gee, honey, great bacon.
It's not bacon.
Not bacon.
That's right. 100% soy breakfast strips with no cholesterol.
Still going. Nothing outlasts the Energizer battery. It keeps going and going.
No matter how many little surprises life throws your way, there's one thing you can count on: the comfort of a TempStar heating and cooling system. Find out how you can rely on TempStar. Just pick up the phone and call. We'll send you a free brochure that answers all your questions about heating and cooling. It can help you make the decision that's right for your home. Find out about comfort you can count on. Rely on the star. TempStar.
He's in Manhattan on Wednesday, Frankfurt on Thursday, Paris, Rome, and Vienna after that. He believes it's better to do business across a table than over a fax machine. This year, he'll fly more than 100,000 miles with us, because he knows nobody understands him better than we do. At Delta, when we say we love to fly and it shows, this is where it shows.
In a complicated world, which camcorder makes it easy to play back tapes directly on your TV? Without question, Sony Handycam. The 92 conventions. In this historic election year, one network will bring you more news, more analysis, more live reporting. For convention coverage that goes beyond gavel to gavel, there's only one network to watch: CNN.
Welcome back to International Correspondents. Joining me to discuss and dissect the historic U.S.-Russian summit, Vladimir Matyash, Washington correspondent for the Russian ITAR-TASS news agency; John Wallach, foreign editor for Hearst newspapers and founding editor of the independent American-Russian newspaper We; and Klaus Kleber, Washington correspondent for the German broadcasting network ARD. I think I transposed a few of those letters last time I said that. I apologize for that. But back to you, John. Clearly Boris Yeltsin won the hearts of Congress. Did he win enough votes to get his aid package?
Well, it was a masterful speech. He said all of the things that congressmen wanted to hear, and namely that was that the idol of communism, and I thought that was a very interesting word, the idol of communism is dead, and it is not going to come back ever. There will be no more lies ever that we will tell on the world. And I think
will
that
that translate into votes?
I think his departing from his speech to address the POW issue and to say, how can you punish me when I have volunteered to find any American who might be alive in a POW camp in anywhere in the former Soviet Union and return him to his family. Don't punish me for being so forthcoming. I think that did turn Senator John McCain. It did turn some other votes, and I think if the vote were held in the next few days, which it very well might be, I think Boris Yeltsin's going to win.
Yes, I think it's not so much that he changed really the votes. I think for many senators and especially congressmen, he finally delivered the cover to vote their conscience, because everybody knows who deals with these issues that we have to give at least this amount of aid to Russia in order to do all the things the president spoke about. This is a good reason. And he, by performing as well as he did, gave the congressman the cover to say, listen, this is a decent man, we need to help him, and explain it to their voters. And this is where the problem was, not in the Congress.
His performance on Capitol Hill did really well here. How did it do back in Russia?
You know, Jimmy, I think that he did very well in the Congress. He really did very well. And his speech reflects actually his personal thoughts about the future of Russia. The main thing is, for the American Congress, Yeltsin's statement that the idol of communism has collapsed and never raised again. I think that it's a very impressive statement.
People in Russia
it's a very
so
impressive
too?
Statement, yeah.
The majority think so too?
And the majority of the Russian people, they think in the way the Yeltsin thinks.
Yeah,
it's very important.
We publish a newspaper called We in Russian, and we have Russian and American correspondents who work
you did a good job.
side by side.
The same impression?
One of the Russian correspondents in our office, in fact, said that he had never seen Yeltsin deliver such an effective speech at home. That this was the most effective he'd ever seen him before.
The most spectacular speech, I would say. The most,
and I think
remember.
that the really important thing here, Jamie, is that in saying some of the things he said, he showed a willingness to take political risks at home, not here. After all, there's a risk, as we've seen earlier in this discussion about the superpower, that he might be alienating the military. And it's been the military that's been his strongest supporter. That's number one. Number two, the reason I think he put the POW issue on the table was to get his own bureaucracy energized, to do something about this issue, to get into those KGB files. So I think we have somebody here who really is bold, who really is in the traditions of a real reformer.
Well, Vladimir, how important is it that he, to use an American expression, bring home the bacon, that we actually see the aid start flowing into Russia?
Well, Jimmy, I think that the Congress will approve the aid package. You see, to be frank, the Russians are not beggars. Yeltsin is not beggar, but we badly need the American aid. And to be frank, $24 billion, it's not a very big amount, but it's just the beginning. Yeltsin wants to show that the private capital, the private sector will flow into the Russian economy. This is the most important thing.
Don't hold your breath, though.
Well, one of the things that Yeltsin said that really seemed to touch a nerve in the United States was a statement that perhaps some Americans might still be alive in Russia. And when we come back, we'll take a look at Boris Yeltsin's revelations about U.S. POWs and MIA. Stay with us.
The music you love is part of your life. Now, there's an easy way to collect the world's most beautiful music. Announcing great composers from Time Life Music. Start with the greatest music of Mozart. More than 2 full hours of his very best works at the remarkable low price of only $9.99 for 2 compact discs or 2 double-length cassettes. Great Composers brings you the most memorable music of Bach, Beethoven, Tchaikovsky, Chopin. All the great masters in crisp, clear sound. Every volume features one great composer, yours to preview at no risk.
And the best part is that every album is delivered right to you. Keep only the albums you want. There's no minimum to buy, and you may cancel anytime. So call now to enjoy Mozart for a 10-day free audition and discover music you'll enjoy for a lifetime. Here's how to order.
To order, call 1-800-876-7900. That's 1-800-876-7900. Or send just $9.99 for 2 cassettes or 2 compact discs, plus $3.50 shipping and handling to Mozart, P.O. Box 1880, Department 02, Alexandria, Virginia.
Welcome back to International Correspondents. Klaus, a lot of play was given in the United States to this whole question of what might have happened to American prisoners of war who were taken to the Soviet Union and whether some of them might be alive. How did that play in Germany?
Well, it's hard to explain because, of course, we still have people missing in action from the Second World War. A lot of time has passed, but these were young people at the time. Some may still be alive. But it is not as much an issue in Germany as it is here. Every individual fate of an individual soldier in Korea or Vietnam is a national affair in the United States. We don't have any similar case in Germany. So we have to explain American political culture back to Germany in order to put it in the right perspective. I didn't, frankly, when Yeltsin brought it up, I didn't even know why he did it. Because he put a big obstacle in his own way there.
Well, was it something that, did Yeltsin anticipate the kind of reaction that statement would get?
Jimmy, I think that Yeltsin anticipated the very good reaction. You know, the prisoners of war, the missing in actions, it's a tragedy for each American family, for each American home. And Yeltsin is a very sincere man, very open man. And I think that he calculated very well. And he knew what he was going to present in the United States.
There was a little implicit criticism there of his predecessor, Mikhail Gorbachev.
That's right. I think that was one of the main points of this, Jamie. I think it was to put the knife into Gorbachev a little bit, because he did say that Gorbachev had not made these facts public, and that Gorbachev knew about them for a long time. In fact, I was even drawn...
Gorbachev denies that.
And I think it was very smart.
It was very smart.
You know, after all, this is again Boris Yeltsin setting the agenda. This is high drama. This is, you know, giving NBC the interview, forgive me for mentioning another network, you know, on the airplane coming back. You know, it's a very smart thing to do. It led the papers the next day.
But is there any credibility to, have we seen any real evidence? Have we seen any of these documents that there actually might be?
Jimmy, I know something about it. I know it's from the embassy sources. The American delegation is traveling to Moscow tomorrow. By the way, today is 19th, tomorrow. They will go tomorrow. And I think that they will visit some labor camps in the northern parts of Russia. It's hard to say if there are any living Americans, I mean the prisoners of war or the missing in actions. It's a very delicate question. And I think, John, I completely agree with you. You know, it's like a deadly arrow, you know, which was sent in the direction of the Gorbachev camp.
Well,
I completely agree with you.
I think the other
it was a very good, skillful step.
Why he brought it up? I don't believe you. Why did he bring it up in the final news conference?
I think it's part of the emotional healing.
Yes.
This is part of a very important step that has to be taken to really close the bonds between the two nations. It's not only he didn't only bring up the POW issue, he volunteered it, the KAL shootdown.
Yes.
The Soviet shootdown of the KAL airliner.
Yes.
Why? Because these are big emotional blocks that really prevent the American people and the Russian people from really understanding each other.
We'll have some final thoughts when we come back.
Some people don't enjoy their pools enough.
It's too much work.
It's easy to keep our pool sparkling and ready to enjoy with BioGuard.
It's too expensive.
The BioGuard 3-step program saves money. We work less, spend less, and enjoy our pool more. Relax, bring your pool to BioGuard.
I'm relaxed. You relaxed?
about it for years. You've planned every detail. At last, you've made the dream come to life. You've put so much into it. Put Olympic stain on it. It's the protection that keeps your home as beautiful as your dream. Olympic from PPG protects more homes than any other stain.
PPG salutes the American spirit.
Okay, Phil, the number in the car is 213-555-7287. I'll be at the airport by 10. In Houston, I'm at 713-555-3576 until 12. And then after that, 555-0738-4779 until time for the Montreal flight or the hotel.
You know, SkyTel can give you one phone number that'll let you get important messages instantly across North America and beyond. One phone number. That's almost too easy, isn't it? Get the message. Call 1-800-SkyTel.
Sunday, African Americans join the people of Ghana in remembering slavery and how the UN is striving to improve education around the world on CNN World Report, 3 p.m. Eastern Sunday.
Welcome back to International Correspondents. Klaus Kleber, has Yeltsin now totally eclipsed Mikhail Gorbachev?
I think in the United States he has. In Germany, he hasn't, because still Gorbachev is the one who made German unity possible. And the danger is that he lived over his means in his own country, because he comes back now. He delivered everything he could possibly deliver. He comes back with an aid package, I hope so, which won't help much, because I'm coming from a country where we pump $100 billion a year into 16 million people, and still progress isn't fast enough. And now we come with 24 billion to the country your size, and the results will be disappointing for many years.
Gorbachev has been sort of a detached commentator.
Yes.
Are we still going to see him in that role now?
Well, Jimmy, you know, Yeltsin, of course, completely eclipsed Gorbachev by his visit to the United States. Well, to be frank, Gorbachev is still very respected and very well known in the West, but he is now more popular in Russia. And Yeltsin, despite all the economic hardships and difficulties, is the most popular politician
I think that's
in today's Russia.
I think that's really the point. I think he's put his finger on it so we can agree. Boris Yeltsin remains popular. He remains not as popular as he once was, but he is popular. I think Klaus is absolutely right. The proof is in the pudding. He came home with these very important economic agreements, which we haven't mentioned: most favored nation status, no duties anymore on Russian goods coming into the United States, investment credits for American companies that want to do business overseas, loans. These are all very, very important. The taxation treaty, no double taxation. Now we're going to see, is the ruble going to be convertible? He's announced that he wants to try to do it in July or August. He needs the $6 billion ruble stabilization fund to do it. If he can get that done, I think he's going to far eclipse Mikhail Gorbachev. Don't forget, Jamie, what do you think of when you think of Mikhail Gorbachev? This saving communism. He wanted democratic socialism, not real democracy.
Let me ask you before we go, just one last speculative question. Now that the Russian archives have pretty much been opened and it's been taking time to go through all these hundreds of millions of documents, if you could go through there, what would you look for?
I would want to find out if the KGB really was behind the plot to kill the Pope.
What would you want to
Jimmy,
look for?
I really would like to know why many members of my family died in the Stalinist camps. That's what I would like to know from the KGB archives.
Are probably in there.
And probably I'll get this answer in my lifetime.
Klaus, what would you look for? If you
It's hard to follow up to this because this is so dramatic and important. But in 1955, Stalin made an offer to Germany and the West. Germany can be united as a price it has to pay neutrality. We never figured out whether this was an honest offer or not. I would like to know it.
And the answer's probably there, and probably we'll get to it eventually. Thank all of you, gentlemen, for being with me today, and thank you for joining us for another edition of International Correspondents. Hope to see you next week. I'm Jamie McIntyre in Washington.
I'm Dave Michaels of the CNN Center in Atlanta. Sports Late Night is up next, but first we have this news for you. Some AIDS activists in the nation's capital spent their Saturday night mourning friends and lovers lost to the disease.
Larry Edwards Jr., Warren Chamberlain, and Ed Gardner.
About 150 people lit candles and read off names of AIDS victims. Participants say they wanted their vigil to memorialize the dead while giving hope to the future. The rally was held as part of the annual Washington Lesbian Gay Pride Weekend. Crews are working to repair a broken water canal in Indianapolis. It collapsed Friday, sending 60% of the city's water supply into the White River. In the meantime, residents will probably have to struggle with low water pressure throughout the weekend, and people are trying to conserve what has become a precious commodity. Firefighters are going without showers to save water for battling blazes. Local hospitals have blocked off water fountains and posted signs on public bathrooms. And in many cases, they're asking patients to drink juice instead of water. The ninjas are heading for Atlanta, Georgia. No, not mutant ninja turtles, but Master of the Ninja Fighting Arts. The annual Ninja Training Convention opened Friday in Atlanta. Ninja masters are providing demonstrations as beginners get a close look at the techniques of the fighting arts. I'm Dave Michaels. CNN Weekend continues in just a minute with CNN Sports Late Night right after this.
Do you ever feel like you've been riding a bicycle with square wheels? Now, thanks to an innovation in bicycling, you can ride with greater comfort and safety. Introducing Wonder Ride, a shock absorber specially designed for bicycles. Wonder Ride absorbs the bumps and jolts that come up through the bicycle.